Hey, Mech Warriors, welcome to Bad Ben's Battle Mechs. I'm Bad Ben. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the future of Battletech Aces and what we kind of know so far. Now, to be clear, I don't know any inside information. I have no connection with Catalyst or Linvander Studios who made Aces or anything like that. So I don't know anything that anybody else couldn't possibly know, but I do try to keep up with the news. And on last Tuesday, um, there was an interview on the Tuesday Newsday with Josh Dirksen. I hope I got his name right. Who was basically the lead developer on Aces, and they talked a lot about it. And he revealed a few things. Nothing was like seriously confirmed, but um, he did say a lot of really interesting things. Now it's an hour-long video. I'll link it down below if you want to watch it. It's a good watch. You should watch it. But if you don't really want to spend all that time, I thought I'd just go over the points that they talked about specifically about Aces that I thought were the most interesting. And so first, we're going to talk about what we know for sure. What is confirmed about Aces? What is coming? Um, so first of all, 4 box sets are confirmed and in development and are coming. Each is tied to an Ill Clan era source book. Scouring Sands, which is the one that we know, is based on Tomorrow Rising, and it's set in the Hinterlands with the Jade Falcon opponents. That's the one that I have, and I've played, and I did a review on already. So that's released, at least in the United States, and I got an early copy. Just because I went to a game fair and, here in Germany at Essen where they were selling it. I bought it at full price and all that. Um, Actually, I bought it for more than full price because I bought it at a convention, and conventions are expensive. They jack the prices up on all that stuff. So I paid more for my Aces box set than most people will. So the second box set. Now, first of all, Sarna, if you go look on Sarna, they will show you. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Sarna. Here, they will tell you all of this. We know all this already. But they seem to have box set 2 and box set 3 mixed up. Because in this interview, he definitely confirmed that Snowblind is going to be the second box set. It's tied to the book Dominions Divided. It'll be set in the Rasselhag Dominion with Ghost Bear and pirate opponents. That's actually new information. I don't think Sarnas knows that it's Ghost Bear and pirate opponents, but that's what it was said on that in that interview. I think that's really interesting that it's going to be split between 2 different opponents. I'm really looking forward to that. No release date, by the way, for the second box set, but they said it's not going to be 2 years or anything like that. It's in the works. I think I have something else written about that later. Yeah, so that's the second one. The third one, I imagine, because I now know which the fourth one definitely is. He talked about that one. This is the only one that could be the third one. Third one will be Wrath and Reprisal, tied to the book Empire Alone. You'll have a compelling opponent, and I think it might be set in the Duchy of Endurian, but I can't say that for sure. Um, the fourth box set will be called Controlled Burn. It's tied to the book Ilkon's Eyes Only. It's not going to be set on Terra. That was said in that interview. And you have the Raven Alliance as your opponents. So those are the 4 box sets that we know are definitely coming, and we have no set release dates for any of them, but apparently it's not going to be, from what I've understood, the 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 machine that makes Aces box sets is finished. basically the system for how these box sets and aces was the really difficult part, was designing the whole system. And now that they have that, it's kind of just like they can produce these box sets or whatever they want fairly easily. That's kind of the idea I got. So what else was talked about? And so this, I can't say necessarily this is definitely confirmed, but he said this very confidently, and it doesn't seem like he would be lying about this for any reason. So Ace's decks will be tailored to the units they come with. For example, the missile boat deck in Scouring Sands works well for large, slow units, and it came with a Bane 3, which is a huge missile boat, massive damage, 888 damage, slow unit. And so that deck, it definitely did. I can confirm that deck worked well with the Bane 3. Whereas in a future box set, there will be a light missile boat with a deck that works well for that. So it'll be faster moving. So the decks in the future box sets for Missile Boat aren't just the exact same deck that you got in Scouring Sands, for example. And I think that's cool. That's really awesome. More variety, the better, right? There aren't only 6 cards for Missile Boat, right? And that's it. There's going to be tons, depending on what kind of missile boat that you get. Here. So Snowblind, set in the Battletech Dominion. I already said that. You'll be tasked with securing a mech factory during the Dominion Civil War. That's really cool. So that's a little bit of a leak on what the campaign is going to be about. And like I said, enemies will be both Ghost, Bear, and Pirate. And 2 of the mechs confirmed for this next box set are going to be the Rime Otter and the Viking 2C. So that's really interesting. That's good. That's news. I think he had talked about the Rime Otter, maybe the Viking. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was the first time I heard that the campaign is going to be set around securing a mech factory, that's cool. That's going to be interesting. Looking forward to it. Next up, so this is another thing. It's essentially confirmed because they've talked about it I've heard them talk about it in several interviews and so on. They are working on Aces for Classic, but it's still early in development, and they have nothing to announce. There is no box set to announce yet. I imagine we're a year or 2 away from hearing anything. Probably not 2 years from hearing any announcements. You know what? I should just shut my mouth because I really don't know anything. But it seems like they are thinking about working on class. They are definitely working on Aces for Classic Battletech. Now, we're moving out of the realm of things that are probably pretty much confirmed. So, for example, this next thing, Josh said he would really like to include aerospace decks someday. A system, he said he's already designed the system. It's waiting, but it didn't get into any of the box sets. They said it doesn't really make sense. It's not a very popular way to play. They don't have a whole lot of different aerospace minis or something. So there's nothing to announce as far as an aerospace deck, but he said something like that would be something he'd be really interested in the future, right? Another thing, standalone Aces decks. So without a box set, without a whole campaign, without minis, are probably coming in the future. He said probably yes, right? That's as much as I can say. But one thing he said, those cards will be different than the ones in the box sets, which is really nice. I think that would be nice. I think it would be nice if they released like the Scouring Sands Aces deck someday. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really care. But the more decks that we get, um, the better, right? You said they could be theme decks. That might be a place that we could see an aerospace deck, for example, right? Not tied to any campaign, not with no aerospace minis or anything, just an aerospace deck that could control them in any of your games, right? So yes. Uh, Next thing, yeah, I basically said all of this already. Snowblind is 95% finished. Won't be 2 years. But no definite release date. They want to release the boxes fairly regularly. Sorry for repeating myself. I just type these things out and then start the video without really, editing what I wrote. There are concepts for more. This is interesting. This was probably the most interesting thing he said. This would be something I would totally be up for. Definitely not confirmed in any way. But what he would like to see, one that Josh would like to see, is a Word of Blake campaign. I so know that says in. It's supposed to say is. Sorry. That is something, Josh, if you're listening, that is something I would very much like to see, a Word of Blake campaign. I think that would be really cool if you had something set in the Jihad, because I feel like that's one of the murkiest, least known eras of Battletech, where like what happened, who did what. It's confusing to a lot of people, and so just like one storyline that you can kind of understand fairly well. That would be really cool. The Word of Blake and let me say one thing if anybody's listening. The Word of Blake has some neat lamb mechs, like some really cool lambs. I know that we don't really have lambs, land air mechs for anybody who doesn't know. But that would be, imagine that. Imagine that if we got like a Word of Blake campaign and it comes with like a few different lamb mechs. Lambs. I shouldn't say lamb mechs. You're saying land air mechs. Anyway, go on. Okay, so this last one, I didn't understand what they were talking about. The question, I felt like the question and the answer were both a little confused. But I'll say what he said, and maybe somebody else can decipher what they're talking about. So the question that was asked, are there any plans for any digital add-ons like new campaigns or mission? Now, first of all, I feel like this question would be a lot better if the word digital was taken out of it. What I want to know is, are there any plans for any? What I want to know is, are there any plans for any like standalone campaign books? For example, a new campaign that will use the assets from Scouring Sands box set. Just a new campaign on a different planet. Is that something that they're thinking about? Now, the answer does not. Yeah, I don't know what he's really talking about here at all. So his answer to this is the Fox Network boys at Six Sides of Gaming. Don't ask me who those are. Okay, that's just what he said. Are developing something called Ace's Legacy, a tournament-style game, 3-scenario mini campaign that you could play over the course of one day. You and your friends and a game master that runs the opposing force. And then he said, and like I was like, oh, that's cool. He said, doesn't know what will happen with those after they've been done as events, but they may be published for people to use in PDF form. So I don't think he's talking about a product, like a box set that's going to come out that's going to be a 3-scenario mini campaign. I think he's talking about an event that people want to put on YouTube, for example. Like some people are developing their own 3 scenario mini campaign, and then they're going to do it on YouTube or something like that. And then afterwards, that could be released in PDF form. Maybe. Like I said, I don't really understand the answer, what he's talking about. That's definitely not anything confirmed. If anybody does know who the Fox Network boys at Six Sides of Game, I know Six Sides of Gaming is the YouTube channel run by I think like associated with Lynn Vander Studios or directly run by Lynn Vander Studios. Not sure, honestly, and I don't know who the Fox Network boys are, but apparently they're developing something called Ace's Legacy, and I don't know what that means. So, want to keep this short. Um, that's really all that we. That's all that I really know. That's all what I've heard, right? And that's all that I can tell you. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.